On this day in 1981, Iowa's Chuck Grassley was sworn into the U.S. Senate. Grassley is an Iowa native and a graduate of the University of Northern Iowa, where he earned a degree in political science. He was first elected to Iowa's state legislature in 1958 and served there until Iowans sent him to the House of Representatives in 1974. Grassley is the longest-serving U.S. senator Iowa has ever had. These days, he chairs the Senate Judiciary